They thought the humiliation would sting. They thought I would crumble. But at that exact moment, my entire life pivoted. The retirement trust, my silent weapon, activated its voting rights. By Monday morning, the board convened an emergency meeting. The question on every lip whispered in panic: who just fired the person who owns 76% of the shares? I had loved this company once. I had trusted them, him, like a brother. Late nights strategizing over spreadsheets, early mornings in coffee-stained offices, sharing dreams in hushed tones when the world didn't understand ambition. I had celebrated their victories as if they were my own. Every handshake, every pat on the back, every empty promise, they were building the trap I now controlled. The betrayal had been subtle at first, an offhand remark here, a decision bypassing me there. I ignored the signs, too invested in loyalty to see the knife carving its path. Then came the email, an innocuous chain of legal documents and financial disclosures. In that moment, clarity hit. They had planned this, plotted in silence, waiting for the perfect moment to discard me. Pain washed over me, sharp as ice, but it was fleeting. Pain doesn't last long when revenge is brewing. I became a ghost in the halls I had once dominated, my steps silent, my eyes observing. Every meeting I skipped, every signature they sought without me, every strategic move, they revealed their arrogance, their overconfidence. I cataloged it all. Evidence, numbers, precedents, financial loopholes, and voting rights. They were my arsenal. I didn't need rage. I had intelligence, patience, timing. I watched the CEO confident in their perceived supremacy. They never noticed me in the corner of every deal, lurking in the shadows of the legal clauses they overlooked. I quietly strengthened my allies, the silent guardians of the retirement trust, the board members who had been ignored, dismissed, underestimated. All pieces were falling into place. I didn't have to move aggressively, I just had to wait. And then the dominoes began to fall. A subtle maneuver here, a proxy vote orchestrated with surgical precision, a quiet phone call there, an overlooked contract clause leveraged for maximum impact. Each step invisible to them, yet catastrophic. They didn't sense the storm building behind the calm in my eyes. They had forgotten one fundamental truth. I knew how to play this game. I had always known. Monday morning arrived. The boardroom smelled of cheap coffee and overconfidence. The CEO strutted in, smug, thinking the day would be theirs. They hadn't noticed the emails confirming voting alignment, hadn't read the fine print that transferred authority the second the retirement trust triggered its rights. "Good morning," I said softly, stepping from the shadows. The room froze. Eyes darted between me and the chairman. I watched the CEO's smirk falter. The emails I had quietly sent, the votes I had quietly secured, all converged into a moment of perfect exposure. "We're activating the retirement trust's rights," I said, calm, measured. The effect was immediate. Gasps, shuffles, disbelief. Their empire, built on arrogance and betrayal, crumbled with the flick of my finger. The CEO's face was a canvas of shock, fury, and fear. Every word I had endured, every insult, every sneer, they were powerless to respond. I walked them through the process, each step punctuated with deliberate clarity. There was no chaos in my victory, only inevitable consequences. By the time the final vote was tallied, I controlled the board. I owned the narrative. I had turned the tables so completely that their outrage was irrelevant. They had underestimated me. Badly. The CEO tried to negotiate, to plead, to bargain. I listened politely, a ghostly calm masking every ounce of satisfaction swelling inside me. Every word they spat was met with silence. I didn't need to argue. I didn't need to raise my voice. Silence was more lethal than any scream. By evening, the office was mine. The CEO escorted out, head low, dignity shattered, their empire reduced to rubble by their own arrogance and my precision. I stood at the window, looking down at the city lights, feeling the power settle in my chest. Revenge wasn't loud, it wasn't messy, it was calculated, cold, unstoppable. I reflected on the path here, the betrayal that had once burned, the quiet planning, the patience, the execution. Every late night of research, every strategic conversation, every subtle nudge in the right direction had led to this. And yet, despite the satisfaction, there was no gloating, no unnecessary cruelty. Justice had been served. That was enough. I thought of their face, the disbelief, the panic, the same face that had once smiled at me, trusted me, used me, now powerless. I realized something profound. Control is intoxicating, but silence in victory is purer. I didn't need them to suffer theatrically.